So this is a side that Ruben Amorim went with yesterday against Crystal Palace, and the clear issues to me is that we are far too dependent on Lisandro Martinez's ball progression in the middle third from the left side, as on the right side I just don't think Euro is at the level at the moment where he can thread those passes between the lines in the same way that Lisandro Martinez can. And the other issue is that Mazraoui is too much of a liability in possession in the right wing back position. If he is going to play, he has to play as a right-sided centre-back, and these examples show this. So in this first clip, we not only see the issue with Amorim using Mazraoui as a right wing-back, but also the lack of movement ahead of Bruno Fernandes and Lisandro Martinez when they have possession in order to open up passing lanes. Martinez and Bruno are exchanging possession on this left side in the middle third, and you can see that the movement from the players between the forward and midfield and the midfield and defensive lines is just far too predictable and easy for the Palace players to mark, particularly being too vertical, back and forth and up and down. And with Palace using a back five, they are fairly easily just able to have each individual player in their back line push up onto the designated player in United's front five and track their movements. Even here, as Dalot drops and Garnacho spins in behind, the movements are only vertical, and because Amorim always uses a 5-man front line in this phase of play, they aren't causing the Palace backline too many positional dilemmas, apart from when to push up and when to drop off. There's also no facilitating movements. Garnacho runs in behind, but it's not designed to create space for another player. It's simply for him to receive possession himself. And that's not him being selfish or anything like that, is that this United side doesn't have any coordinated patterns of play, and the rigidness of Amorim's system means that each individual player is just standing statically in a particular zone. And you can see the effect of this when Bruno has possession. He has absolutely no open forward passing lanes, as Agate is standing statically behind Mateta in this zone, and Mainu is standing statically behind Will Hughes in this zone. And so Bruno Fernandes either falls too progressible forward with a longer, low probability pass, or as he does here, simply circulate the ball across the back line to the other side. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as Palace have shifted over to United's left, which means that when the ball goes out to Euro, United should be able to work the ball down the right side because of the increased space on that side, but the attack breaks down with Mazraoui, as you'll see here. But before I come on to that, a quick reminder, I do have an in-game Instagram group chat where I do provide analysis during the Manchester United games, and we have discussions on different topics throughout the week. That Patreon tier is $5 a month, but if you just want to read my Patreon articles, you can sign up for just $1.50 per month. I've just put out an article analysing how Luis Campos transformed AS Monaco during his time as sports coordinator and technical director. And I'm going to be writing articles on subjects that aren't fully Manchester United related, but may be interesting to you if you do want to learn about some niche topics that maybe aren't discussed as much on YouTube or social media. You can get a 7-day free trial, so if you do want to try it and read some articles, you can then cancel after 7 days. I'm also working on a tactical ebook, which should hopefully be out shortly, so if you are in the group chat when that is released, you'll get it for free. I'll leave my Patreon linked in all the usual places, the eye above, description, comment section, and on the end screen after this video. So as Euro has possession here, you can see that the pass into Agate is being cut off by Kamada's narrow positioning. However, this is where something called a third man pass comes into play. You can still get the ball from Euro into Agate, you just have to do it indirectly. With Euro playing the pass up the line into Mazraoui, and then Agate shifting his position to receive possession so Mazraoui can bounce the ball back inside. However, this is where we see the issue with using Mazraoui as a right wing back, but also not having set coordinated passing sequences and movements built into the system, which in fairness, Amorim should be able to improve as he gets more time with the squad, but at present the patterns of play aren't as fluid as they need to be. The pass goes into Mazraoui and he's under immediate pressure from Mitchell. But this is an example of why I say United are much better when Ahmad is playing as the right wing back, because from here Ahmad would have the technical ability to either bounce the ball back inside to Agate first time, take a touch and then split Mitchell and Lerma with a pass between the lines, or even take the ball in his stride and drive down the inside of Mitchell. However, Mazraoui doesn't have this sort of technical ability and his first touch is poor, he's indecisive, and this results in him getting crowded out and losing possession. But to be fair to him, the positioning of Ahmad and Agate doesn't do him any favours. See, Agate, when Euro is playing this pass forward into Mazraoui, should be looking to break away from Lerma to give himself a few yards of space to then receive the ball, and he could do this by making a forward movement, looking like he's going to make a run forward before then checking his run, and moving over to Mazraoui with a lot more intensity. And from here, Ahmad either needs to be getting in front of Guehi or spinning in behind him. Agate and Ahmad do neither, and this contributes to Mazraoui losing possession and the attack breaking down. And it's not just in the middle third when trying to progress the ball in behind the Palace midfield line, where we saw the limitations of Mazraoui as a right wing back, but also in the final third as well. So this clip starts with Bruno Fernandes receiving the ball in the centre of the pitch, and the only method United really have of consistently progressing the ball into the final third comes through Bruno Fernandes' long passing, which is why people who want Bruno to completely stop playing these longer, so-called Hollywood balls are completely missing the point. If he stops looking for passes like this, United's ball progression into the final third completely dries up. Here he finds Amad with an excellent lofted pass out to the right side. Amad can't get the ball under control, but United do well to counter press on that right side, with Agate shifting across, Euro pushing up, and Amad applying pressure, which enables Mazraoui to make the interception from Mitchell's rush clearance under pressure. Now as Mazraoui receives the ball, this is where United need a wing back who is a lot better in the final third, in terms of their ball carrying, dribbling and overall decisiveness in offensive situations. But I also think it highlights why the players in the front three need to be made up of forwards and not midfielders or number 10s, and you'll see why here. So initially Mazraoui does well to drive into the space and carry the ball near to the edge of the box. But this is where we see not only his limitations, but also the limitations of not having players in the front three who have the offensive instincts of forwards. In all fairness, Mainu isn't a natural forward, so I'm not going to be too hard on him, but he should be making this movement between Guéhi and Lacroix, firstly to provide Mazraoui with an option to thread the ball in behind the Palace backline, but also as a facilitating run to drag Lacroix deeper and open up the passing lane for Mazraoui to then square the pass to Garnacho on the edge of the box. And I saw people online saying that United players are low football IQ players, which is ironic because that's just a low IQ take, because that's expected when you obsess over signing young players with potential rather than slightly older players who have better current ability, simply because in the moment it seems better to sign a 20-year-old than it does to sign a 26-year-old. If you have players like Gokres and Kunku, Cunha, whoever it is in Garnacho or Mainu's position, they would have the benefit of 5 or 6 years extra worth of experience when it comes to knowing where and when to make runs around the box. But it's also why in Amorim's front three, ideally we need 3 players who have the offensive instincts of forwards and not midfielders, because if we did in this type of situation, maybe the player in Mainu's position makes that run between Lacroix and Guéhi, which opens up the passing lane into a player in Garnacho's position who's making a run towards the edge of the box, moving into a more central position where from Mazraoui could find him, and even if we don't score from this, we at least get another shooting opportunity. However, Mainu just doesn't have those instincts, and so he doesn't offer Mazraoui any passing options at all, but also Mazraoui doesn't have the ability of, say, a Frimpong, Quenda, or even Amad to potentially create something in this situation, maybe by taking Guéhi on and going down the outside, or exchanging a 1-2 with Mainu, and at the very least working the ball into the box and forcing Guéhi to commit to some sort of tackle and potentially drawing a foul and getting a penalty, or at the very least maybe getting a corner. And so to me the amendments that Amorim needs to make in the short term are clear, and the profile of play that United need in the front line and in the wing back positions are also just as clear. We need wingers, or at least players with winger-like output in those wing back positions, particularly in games where the opposition, like Palace, are going to sit fairly deep and allow United to dominate possession. The wing backs are absolutely crucial to United's ball progression in the middle third, which is why I think United are far better with Amad at right wing back and Garnacho ahead of him, wherefrom you can then maybe have Mainu on the left with Dogu in behind him. Yes, of course, Amad in terms of output is our best offensive player in the final third, but it's far too simplistic to simply say that because of that we must play him in the most advanced position, because you simply aren't factoring in the importance of ball progression or technical ability from the wing back areas, and the fact that there's no one else in the squad that can provide what Amad can from that right wing back position. And to be honest, I actually think Amad looks better when he's receiving the ball on the outside of the fullback in those wide areas compared to when he's receiving the ball between the lines. Now I am going to go into more detail about the tactical issues that United are facing, as whilst the personnel is of course the biggest issue, to say that it's just personnel and nothing tactical is just failing to see the obvious tactical tweaks that Amorim needs to make. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for that, and if you do want to sign up to my Patreon and get access to the in-game Instagram group chat and the free tactical ebook, or just read some of my articles, and I'll leave it linked on the end screen now.